Unlocking to knowledge. One-on-one. Reaching high. One-on-one. Touch the sky. We're breaking through. No limits here. Empower the world. There's nothing to fear. One-on-one. Feel the light. One-on-one. We'll take flight. We rise as one with dreams so bright. On one-on-one, we're shining tonight. Feel the power deep inside. Step on up. No need to hide. You've got the strength. You've got the pride. On one-on-one, you lead the ride. Ooh, we're moving. We're changing the game. Stand tall. Stand proud of your name. On one, we're taking our claim. Together we rise. We're fanning the flame. One-on-one. Reaching high. One-on-one. Touch the sky. We're breaking through. No limits here. Empower the world. There's nothing to fear. One-on-one. Feel the light. One-on-one. We'll take.
Protecting beliefs and strengthening communities is one monumental task. Let's learn how one organization is doing just that. This is One-on-One. Hi, I'm Star, and thank you for joining this episode of One-on-One. We have lots to talk about and lots to unpack, and I'm very excited about this episode because today I am interviewing Tara Scarbarough. She is the founder of Tidal Legacy Foundation. Tara, hi. How are you?
Good, thanks.
You have me out here at Key today?
Yes. We did a Blue Horizon to the very special place.
Yes, Blue Horizon. This island is Island Key? Key? Island Key. Well, most of we call it Key. It's so special to you. I want to know all about your upbringing here on the island and how it shaped your ideas and goals towards your future, that you are in conservation now, and that eventually led to you starting your own organization.
So for me, I was blessed to have both my grandparents, very hardworking individuals who gave me the opportunity that I had to be able to be out here at Blue Horizon, a place that they built with their own two hands. And it's funny that your environment shapes you, but you don't often realize that in the moment. So growing up, although I didn't realize it now, as I'm older, I appreciate that much more because there's a lot of things that being out here taught me to do. One, I was free to be myself out here. I could ask as many questions. I could wander. I could explore. I had the opportunity to enjoy just being out here in the mangroves, being out in the water, and then learning that work ethic that I might not have zoned into at that point in my life because I was still a child. But growing up is something that I look back on and I appreciate. My grandmother and my grandfather waking up at 4 a.m, us going to bed really late at night, and they would be working the entire day. Grandfather leaving in the morning, I don't see him until late in the evening. And then my grandmother working from the morning breakfast time all the way up to late at night, and never hearing them complain a day I was ever out here. It was always smiles, it was always laughter, even when the work was hard. So my drive and my passion in a lot of ways came from just being myself and being out here. And out here being a safe space, being in the water, even now as an adult, is still a safe space for me. Being out at the Keys is still a safe space for me. And I realize not everybody has that opportunity. So a part of the foundation is also creating safe spaces and opportunities for people back then that were my age.
Yeah, and it indeed is a legacy. So this isn't something that started just yesterday or just last year. This is something that you were born into, that you saw the people who raised you and looked up to and loved you, watch them pour their time, energy, soul, and hard work into something they believed in. Not only that would benefit them, but would impact the entire Belize. Your grandfather, tell me more about him, the living legend, Lincoln Westby. I often see him in online with the stories of fly fishing, and when it's time to advocate for protection of the reef, he's right there up front and center. I saw a recent news piece about that. Tell me, how did that passion and drive that he had pass on to you?
It's funny because when I think about my grandfather, I don't think about him as great in the way that everybody else thinks about him in terms of fly fishing. To me, he was great because even if he didn't perceive it at the time, he was my best friend before I even knew what a best friend was. Like, he taught me how to read, which is still one of my favorite pastimes. He was my favorite cook. Because when he ready for going in the kitchen and chef up pepper pot soup, and when I tell you, he not to feed me like I 5 or 6. He to feed me like I 25, 38.
Wow.
Big plate of food. And we got a whole tub of ice cream afterwards. And even when I was out here at the Keys, it would be him showing me whatever he could show me, teaching me whatever he could teach me, us running jokes, and me being able to ask. I was free to ask whatever I wanted to. I was free to be curious with him. I was free to adventure. I was never told. Growing up, there's a lot of things that I saw, like women being told they should only do certain things. They could only do certain things. With him, it was never that. Anything that I wanted to do, I could do.
That is so beautiful. And so, since you have a foundation, what is your mission statement for Tidal Legacy Foundation?
So for me, the foundation is something that I've been thinking about for years, but I never felt like it was the right time to launch. And I sort of got over that. There's never going to be a perfect time. There's never going to be a right time. The right time is now. And you learn and you grow as you go along. So for me, Tidal Legacy Foundation was built on the belief that change happens with strong communities and deep connections. So the mission is focused on 3 things: youth empowerment, community upliftment, and environmental stewardship. Because when we all come together and we work together with our environment instead of conflicting, creating conflicts and working against it, that's only when change can happen. And I've learned that also from being out here and the way we work with and around the environment.
That's great. I love that you involve those 3 elements, making the average person realize, hey, I can make a difference. I shouldn't just leave all of this work to the people out there with their doctorates or their fancy training or what's not. It's every day. It's giving the everyday people the understanding, the tools and the resources to realize that they can make a difference with the small steps that they make. So speaking of those small steps, what are these campaigns that are going on right now, or campaigns that you have for the future?
I have a couple campaigns. I have the Little Stewards in Action campaign, which is a campaign that works. So just to preface, all my campaigns are focused on the community, by the community. If there's a project that's done, it's supported by individuals in the community, whether that's showing up and giving your time, cooking food, supporting businesses, it's all local founded. So we have the Little Stewards in Action campaign, which is focused on schools within the country of Belize. So we go into the schools and we do an education campaign focused on youth stewardship and conservation. So we teach, because what I always say is we don't need more conservationists. We don't need more people with conservation degrees. What we need is individual stewards every day. And our youths are always the best place to start. And what I want to do differently with this campaign, we hear so often the youths are our future, but in a lot of ways we don't actively put that in place. We go and we do these education campaigns and sometimes they're not fit for purpose. So with the Little Stewards in Action campaign, we go and teach about conservation, but we also tie in stewardship within that. And a part of the campaign, the kids, we all go out with the kids and we do a cleanup around the community. I partner with Sea of Life for this campaign, so we also teach them about the types of pollution that they're seeing, so they can recognize how much pollution is in their community and the types of pollution that's being produced. And they also get educated on the different types of micro or macroplastics that we might find while we're out there. We also have another campaign that I'm launching this year, which is called Mommy and Me, Heart and Art. Growing up around a lot of single moms, a lot of hardworking moms that would leave home early in the morning. They don't get home until late at night. They sometimes only have that one day on the week, which is Sunday, but they use Sunday to prep for the rest of the week. So the Mommy and Me, Heart and Art campaign is one where moms and their children can come. and we read Belizean made books. So we have a lot of authors in Belize that a lot of people don't know about. So for this campaign, I partner with local Belizean authors. We start with a book reading, so the moms get to relax a bit, and it's also a safe space as well where they can share that time. Afterwards, we do a painting session, and we paint places in Belize. Or if it's focused on marine conservation that day, then we paint different protected sea animals in the country. So it's a space where they're treated like royalty. It's a nice space that we create where food is provided, where everything's nicely decorated, where it's an opportunity for them to dress up and have a good time. And though it's not a lot, those few hours mean a great deal to these moms. So it's creating that space where they can take a break and enjoy and create a core memory with their kids. So that's one of the campaigns under the foundation. I also have two others, one that's going to launch this year, and the other two that are going to be launching later on. The other one launching this year is a dive certification course. So getting, again, youths certified in open water diving. For me, I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to work at a dive shop. So I got certified through working at the dive shop. Diving is very expensive, and dive certification is extremely expensive. Especially to most people in general.
Average Belizeans.
An average
It looks like
Belizean.
something that only tourists can come and
Yes.
experience it and go back, but we might never will.
It's definitely something everyone should have access to, because being out there, it's a whole different world, and you learn to appreciate anything more when you have time with that, when you get to experience that. So having the opportunity to do this course and having them be able to go out there and see the animals that we protect, see how harmonious everything is out there. And besides just that, because it's built on community, it's the same faces they might have seen in their community that are certifying them. It's also a mentorship program that we're building. So these same youths can keep going back to their mentors and their trainers for advice, or to that group for questions. Again, creating another safe space for youths who have done this training. And later on in the years to come, I do also have a photography training, underwater photography, that I'm doing, as well as some additional campaigns, but those are the core ones that I plan to do this year.
Okay, all of those campaigns sound so wonderful. They sound so fun. They sound so immersive. And that's what a lot of us forget, that conservation, protection, strengthening, all of that starts from within. You cannot go out there and do something that you're not passionate about, that you don't understand, that you don't see what the impacts or the outcomes might be. And like I said, all of us live different lives here in Belize. We have different financial situations, but if we strengthen the community, collectively and individually, like you mentioned with this mommy one, that sounds so interesting. I want to do that. It sounds so great because, like I said, the conservation isn't just being out there picking up trash outside. You have to develop that love for your community, that love for your country, that love for protecting the ecosystems. And you cannot do that if you don't love the life you live, you don't love yourself, if you don't build connections and understand that that connection is important. No man is an island. I'm sure you're grateful for all the support that you've received with starting this foundation. Now it's something that everyone has. You need all hands on deck. It's very important, and sometimes people, like I said, they shy away from things like this because they don't understand it. They don't see it as they don't think there's a place for them in all of that. But I find it so inviting and so open, this foundation, that there's a place for everyone, young, old, can start somewhere and grow. And the mentorship, especially, oftentimes we, as adults, we get training and then we're just pushed outside in the real world, don't know when our back is against the wall, who to turn to, who to lean on. And it's good to know that with a mentorship program, there are people you can come to, you can lean to, that have been in the same shoes that you have, when you're doubting yourself, or when you're seeking more understanding on a subject. So that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, and being young, you being a woman, has that given you any sort of, I don't want to say advantage, but have you seen Have you looked at it differently as compared to other people in the organization? I'm sure there's a mixture of older heads in all the not only your organization, but during all the experience you've had. Do you feel like being young and connecting with having the ability to connect with the youth, do you think that that gave you some sort of new outlook or I guess advantage when it comes to tackling certain projects or campaigns?
I would say the advantage I have in this foundation has been the trust that I've built along the way, because that trust then shows up in the people that come back and support the foundation and support the initiatives and support the campaigns. For me, growing up in Hopkins, a small village, and then having the opportunity to then leave home has also given me the advantage of different perspectives. Not just growing up in the village and making something out of nothing, which most people can't do, and then also going and leaving the country to pursue further education and experiencing different cultures, different way of life, giving me new perspectives and new insight that I can also bring back with me. The age also helps because I'm sort of in the middle where I can fully understand what it's like to be an adult, but I still tell myself I'm 14, I'm 16. So I'm still able to connect. I'm very open-minded, so I believe that's also a benefit. And I've also experienced, so with one of the campaigns specifically as an example, which is something that I brought into the foundation. We say so often, the youths are our future, the youths are our future. I was told that so often, but to me, I never felt like that was the case. Especially culturally, the way we grow up, we're taught not to ask too many questions. We're taught not to speak up because it's seen as disrespectful at home culturally. And that is something that still exists today that I've realized through one of the campaigns that I do that teaches leadership. And that isn't me telling kids, you need to do this, this, and this to be a leader. I explain the different types of traits leaders have. I question them to understand their perspectives. And I ask them, one of the core questions is, as a young adult, do you feel like you're listened to or you're heard when you speak up? And with every school, landslide consensus is no. There has never been a student that has said yes. And one of the benefits is I understand that. I actually expect that to be the answer. And the hope is that that will change as we progress further into the campaigns. But that's something that touches home for me, and I understand because that's something that sometimes the older generation doesn't understand. Because they also grew up in a generation just the same where they were told you can't talk back, that disrespectful, you can't answer back, you can't say how you feel doesn't matter. So that's one of the benefits I've had, and looking at that in general is one of the reasons I pushed to launch the campaign. The youth are our future, the youth are our future, the youth are our future. It's swallowed, regurgitated. And then going into these communities, parks aren't well kept. Football fields are overgrown. Basketball courts aren't safe. They have no lighting. You go to schools, they're not well equipped. There's no extracurricular activities for our youth, but the youth are our future. Are they not?
It's just a statement. There's nothing concrete to back it up. You're saying I'm the future. What are you giving me? What do I have to work with? What is out there for me to use as an opportunity? The resources. It's just a song.
It's just
basically.
a song. Yeah.
We have to. It cannot just be a song. And then that's how they define themselves. I am the future. But then what are you doing? What is this future that you're building? There's nothing being built because they weren't given the resources, the opportunities to develop their minds and their skills and their talents.
Exactly. And how can the youth be our future when our youth don't believe that? And then our adults aren't focusing their passion and everything into ensuring that is also believed not by themselves but also our youths, because we just say, but if you say it and you don't believe it, there's no action that comes behind that. And even in the schools, I remember growing up, we were taught if you touch corals, they die. We were taught to clean up that.
Yeah, I
also.
believe that for a really long time.
Yeah, so even now going into the schools with the Little Steward in Action campaign, I've realized that majority of our youths don't know what a steward is. They don't know what stewardship is. So it's then re-educating them on that to them, have them make their own choices, because change happens by the daily choices we make every day. So working in conservation, that's also something that I've realized along the way. We've moved into organizational checklists that we lose the value and purpose of why we wanted to do that action in the first place and why we created that checklist to ensure that we stuck to our purpose. So it's more going in, oh, I did this, this, and this. Was it successful? Did you make an impact? Did our youth learn anything? Did you put anything in place so that they could understand the future, so that they could be equipped to then pursue whatever it is the purpose of what you did in the first place was. So there's a lot of things I thought about when I created the foundation, and that was one of the things that kept replaying in my mind, and something that I see in so many of the campaigns that we do now and going into these communities.
Yeah, these are all the steps that are very important for us to develop as a society, recognizing that this kind of wasn't working. Let's try this different. Let's include everyone. Let's give them what they need. Of course, we can't provide everything, and then we'll see these changes slowly happen and see how people look at things differently. So it's good that you recognized that, hey, this old way of doing things, going around, and even the way how we kind of looked at things as, as a society, that isn't going to give us the result we want, isn't going to give us the result we need. And whether we like it or not, climate crisis is real. And the changes that need to happen now. Mm-hmm. So you said you kept putting it off, and then eventually you said there's never going to be a right time. And I'm sure everybody can relate to that. There isn't a right time for anything, and I'm glad that you did launched the foundation. I'm so proud of it, and like I said, it warms my heart knowing that you are a Hopkins girl. Hopkins is so unique. Actually, we have the estuary there by the lagoon, we have ocean, we have the savannah. It's a very, very unique location, and it's there's a lot for the children, the stewards in Hopkins to learn. So doesn't that excite you more, knowing that there's so much biodiversity in Hopkins?
Yes. It excites me a lot, and that's also one of the things that helped. That's also one of the advantages I had, being able to grow up in Hopkins, and also the respect that you learn from growing up at the Keys, the respect fishermen have for the waters and for the fish that they catch, to our women in the community that used to make bags and everything else, working with the environment to get these products, with our farmers. We have everything in Hopkins. Everything. So that's definitely an advantage, being able to grow up in the village, because we have our farmers on one side, like you said, we have the wetlands and all the biodiversity that has. We have the sea right in front of us, and we're a community of entrepreneurs. And our community has a big role in that.
Yes, and I'm so excited to see all these small little steps that eventually will make big changes in our community. But like I said, we got to equip those youths that are supposed to be our future.
Yes.
Yes, and we all know that conservation is a very slow game. It's not something that happens overnight. Nothing changes overnight. So how would you gauge a victory for your foundation then?
For me,
when it comes to short-term or long-term?
If I would have not achieved anything at all with my foundation, but creating a space where our youth can come and feel safe and speak and grow into that change, I would have achieved a lot. Of course, again, there's always a checklist of things you want to do, and as someone who's very goal-oriented and an overachiever in a lot of ways, there's a lot of things that I want to do, but that's all done with my community and my people, not alone. So if that was the sole thing that I got to achieve in this foundation, I would have done a lot.
Okay, awesome. And do you feel that there are any budget constraints right now when it comes to your campaigns, or you feel like you have all the support that you need since you just started? Sometimes that's usually an issue when an organization or a foundation has just launched. There's usually limited budget when it comes to getting the projects or campaigns done. You feel like there's some type of you feel like the budget there's some type of budget constraint or anything like that, or you have to try and see how you could manage that?
I would say those are one of the ways I've been blessed with my community, with the foundation. Primarily because the foundation, the goal of it and the mission behind it, it's for the community, by the community. So, for example, with the Little Stewards in Action campaign, when I do this activity with the kids, I provide snacks, I provide food, I provide beverages. Our kids are going to be out there, they're going to be cleaning up, they're going to be with us for a very long time. That food is all provided by our community, whatever community I'm in, whether it's Belize City, Dangrega, Hopkins. There's women in the community who provide the food. There's individuals who provide the beverages, the juice. There's the teachers in the school who provide the support, assist with logistics. So it's not about getting this big bunch of money to do this big thing grand. Again, the purpose is on strength in community and deep connections. So all these foundations are done by our people, by our community.
This is not something funded from a big grant from somewhere far away.
No,
okay,
because the change is only going to happen by our community. For the dive training that I'm doing in each community, those instructors are from the community. They are giving their time because they want to support it. The boats, the fuel, it's by local businesses who are supporting this. The equipment, again, by local businesses who are supporting this. Everybody giving their time and coming together, because again, change happens when we make these choices and we come together as a community. There's just the same for the Mommy and Me. It's our local Belizean authors giving their time, bringing their books. It's all of us coming together. Of course, there's going to be costs involved, but when everyone comes together, it doesn't feel
that
like
heavy,
a burden.
Yes, and understanding that no one's coming to our rescue but us, and seeing that, like you said, it's all the local businesses stepping in a little bit as much as they can. Sometimes people they kind of shy, smaller business especially, since their profit margin isn't as big as like a larger organization. They feel like they can't help. But by just you explaining to them, by just providing a little bit of lunch or just some juice for the kids, that's you helping, making change. That's you, the children, seeing you helping and making the change towards that greater goal.
Yes, even with the cleanup campaign, it's our moms, our dads, our uncles that I ask to come out, because if our kids see the people that we see in our homes doing this, then it's easier for them to then make the choice to do it themselves. And even with the community, sometimes it's not even an ask. Sometimes it's people reaching out how I can help. Because again, it's that trust and that relationship that's been built over time.
Great. Yes. That's a great point. The relationship that's been built. So now they're anticipating. They know something is coming. How can I help? Because they know that it's not about just waiting for outsiders to come in and do something for us, and we just kind of participate. It's all of us deeply involved and doing it with the help of everyone.
Yeah. And if you're somebody like me that's big on seeing our people prosper and our people do good, then it's easier to chip in and help. And I've found that a lot of the people that I've worked with and have supported the foundation are exactly that.
Awesome. And so I guess you built a lot of meaningful connections with a lot of people in your work life, in your foundation life. Care to name a few women that you look up to?
That's a hard one.
Through all your years, how many years would you say you've been doing this kind of work?
I've been volunteering in conservation since high school. sixth form. I started UV in 2015, and that was associate. So that was probably back in like 2011. I feel old.
Remember, you say you identify as 14.
True. I'm still 14. So I'd say a very long time, and then transitioning to getting my degree, and then actually working in the workforce where it's conservation oriented. But I would say there's no name. When I think about the women that I look up to, there's no specific name. Like, I would describe it as like a myriad of faces that come to mind. Like the women that I used to see getting up early in the community and going to work and building their homes and making sure their kids were okay. Those were super women. They were doing so many different things. These women had side jobs, a full-time job, a mom, making sure their kids were ready to school, pick them back up. Like how they were doing all those things all together was amazing to me. And then also all these women that we take for granted that have built businesses that we see now that back then were used to be a container that they were walking around the village selling their products with. That's now a full-fledged business that generates income for our village. All of those women come to mind. It's the first female faces that I saw in the workforce. When I was doing my degree, there were not a lot of women pursuing the degree that I was doing. There was also not a lot of women in leadership positions in the marine space, especially when it came to being out there working in a dive shop, being on the boat. It was all men that I was seeing. So when I think about the women I look up to, it's also all the faces of those women that I saw in the field that showed me, like, that kept that reminder, yeah, it's possible. If there's a slight doubt in your mind that you can't do it, it's possible because we're here. So it's not just one person, it's a collection of a lot of great women.
We draw inspiration from. They
Yes.
don't have to be extraordinary women doing what society would define extraordinary things. It's sometimes the ordinary, the everyday that are truly extraordinary.
Yes.
And I'm glad that you saw that and you could make something of that. That's great. Yeah, I just even noticed just now when we docked on the island, I looked at your whole demeanor. It just changed from tense to relaxed. I would probably say this is a place that you find peace, and especially since there's so much history here. But how else, besides being out here on the island, your grandparents' island, the island that raised you, how else or where else would you find space for mental stability to build that? Because like I said, tackling all these problems, dealing with community, dealing with conservation and all of that, it can be daunting at times, and sometimes it's not always good news. Sometimes we don't get the news, we don't get the we want policies to change, they don't change, and sometimes they're bad days, they're bad news. How do you ground yourselves? What do you do to get back in that state of, I want to continue doing this?
I would definitely say if you did see my demeanor change, that was probably very true. Oftentimes, and I've realized along the way that being out on the water, so even if it's not Blue Horizon, just being out on a boat, being out on the water, diving, it's like my body has a switch, because I tend to keep going. Even when I'm having conversations, there's something else going back in the back of my mind. I'm planning something else, I'm doing something else. And for someone who's worked several jobs and went to school for a long time, even now I'm doing my PhD, I'm working 2 jobs. My mind is always going, and I tend to not know when to shut off. But being out on the water, being in the water at sea is like a switch I can't unflick. As soon as I'm there, it's like, and I can't control it. I even just told my best friend the other day, because we went out, it's like, as soon as I get out here, it's like my body wants to sleep, my body wants to rest, my body wants to relax. But otherwise, as soon as I leave here, it's like going nonstop, doing multiple things at once all the time. And what has helped me along the way is, one, still having that safe space. Yes, when thinking about it from a scientific perspective, how the reef has changed, and what we've lost. If I focus just on what we've lost and not what we have, I still have that safe space. I still have the reef to go and dive to. I still have all these beautiful islands that we can still enjoy. That is what we have. There's still hope. I go out into these communities, I do these leadership campaigns, I work with students. There's still so many of them that are engaged and involved and want to make a change. So creating that space where they can then develop that, there's hope. Working in my community and having the support that I get from all the people within my community who want to see stuff like this be successful, there's hope. So even if there's a doubt in my mind at any point in time, there's so many things around me that I'm appreciative of that continuously remind me there's hope, there's hope, there's hope. There's no way I can ever self-pity and dig myself in a hole and want to give up.
That's great. Well, we need to bring those kids out here.
Yes.
We got to see their faces light up.
For
But it's
sure.
great. Like I said, during this journey of this one-on-one series, I have talked to plenty of businesswomen, and by businesswomen, it's a business that's for profit. Of course, an organization, your foundation, we're slightly different from that. It's a bunch of people coming together with a common goal, and then the goal isn't to profit, but of course, the goal is to make a change, make a difference. Whether it's the environment, whether it's a community, but it's great to see that connection that, like I said, you've mentioned about the small businesses supporting the average people, supporting that. There shouldn't be a separation between someone who wants to do something or an organization that wants to do something to better the community and just a business for profit.
Yes.
We can come together and we can make a difference.
Yeah.
If it's, like I said, it doesn't have to be financial.
It doesn't even have to be grand. One woman in the community donating a gallon of milk because she wants to donate means a lot, means just as much as a donation coming from an organization.
And the children are seeing that. And the children are seeing that. They know that giving something doesn't have to be big. It's just their little time that they have to go outside. And they might say the sun is hot, the sun is hot, but they understand that you cannot put a price on their little time being out there and learning and being excited to want to do it again. I'm sure the kids are asking you when you're going to do it again.
Yeah, they keep asking me when I'm going to come, and it's hard because every campaign I go, the kids ask me the same thing, like, can you come back next week? Can you come back tomorrow? And I always have to tell them I'll do my best to come back. But I would definitely say, looking at the value of what people give, people always think, oh, it needs to be tens of thousands of dollars. To me, not to say I don't appreciate the donations that come from these big organizations, but the donations and the time that come from the people in my community means a lot more to me. Big organizations have budgets. They have money that's already planned to be given out. These people might be giving you their last, might be sacrificing something for themselves to then assist you to help their community. That means a lot more to me. So definitely it's been a great journey so far, though short, but it's been a lot of good feedback as well, especially from the youths that I've encountered along the campaign, and of course all the people in the community that have supported.
Aren't you excited to know that these very kids that you are teaching will one day be beside you, working alongside you?
Yes.
Because they're not going to be kids forever, but isn't that exciting? I can't wait for that day, knowing that I remember when you were small and we just made to do this, and look at you now being on my team and us tackling all of this. That way we can fully encompass entire Belize. Every community needs a stewardship program. It doesn't even have to be Tidal Legacy Foundation, but you're triggering that change. You're letting people realize, hey, this is what we need. This is what's been lacking. This is what's been lacking, and we recognize it, and look at the benefits for this community, that community. And it's not only for tiny communities. You did Belize City, which is a big city.
Yeah, Belize.
So it's not only for little people, little communities that, that are by the sea or whatever. It's entire Belize. Belize is filled with so much people and so much biodiversity. And it's going to be a wonderful journey just watching it all change.
It is. And with the foundation too, there's also that benefit for the kids that they don't have to wait until they're adults. There's volunteer programs that are integrated into the foundation. Because I've worked in the field for so long, I've also built relationship with different NGOs within the country and different small organizations, so they can already start working alongside me with these organizations if they'd like to. And they also have the opportunity to go and volunteer with other organizations they might be interested outside of mine, and also the opportunity to do community work if they want to, along with the foundation.
Awesome. Tara, you are beautiful inside and out. And I told you this off camera, and I cannot. It's like I know, no, I don't want to say I watch you grow up because that make it sound like I 60. But I literally watch you grow up, and I could have seen that it was, I don't want to say destined for greatness, but I would say destined for positive impact and change. And I could see that the community that shaped you, the people that shaped you, they did a wonderful thing. They did a wonderful thing. Of course, you took your own steps to do your own decisions, but it was a great foundation that's clearly to be seen. And I am so proud that to have Tidal Legacy Foundation represent Hopkins, represent Belize. Thank you. And I'm super excited. And you don't have to tell me, I sign my son up. I sign as soon as my daughter go. Sign yourself up. I sign you up too. Let's do this. This is what I wanted growing up in Hopkins and never got, which is what started a lot of things that a lot of the projects that I'm a part of. The things that we wanted. Let's stop waiting and yearning. Let's create them. Let's create them.
Yes.
And we can't say, oh, I'll wait until I reach a golden age or have so much years of experience to start.
No.
There's never, like we said, there's never, ever, ever a right time to start. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tara. I am enjoying this time out here at Blue Horizon. I enjoyed this conversation. There's a lot you opened my eyes to that I really never realized, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me. And I'm so grateful for the humble work that you do within and outside of our community. So thank you. And I will definitely, I don't have millions, but I will volunteer my time.
That's more important.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Awesome. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, that was a lot indeed to unpack. One small organization making small steps to achieve a real authentic goal within our community. And when it comes to advocating for protection of whatever that biodiversity there is in Belize. But we have to realize, like Ms. Scarbarough said, it starts with us. It starts with the people around us, the people we see every day that can make a difference, and we can show them also that we can make a difference. So I really enjoyed that. I hope you did too. We'll catch you on the next one-on-one. Bye from Hopkins.
I feel like I'm gonna eat.